I baked mud cookies in real life to celebrate Halloween 2022 by using my own recipe. Things turned out exceptionally well, as my cookies look just as muddy and greeny as 76 Delbert ones. Let's get started. Hello everyone! Welcome back to another special cooking video dedicated to the Fallout franchise. For this Halloween, I decided to go for some delicious cookies directly from 76. I'm talking about the spooky green mud cookies from the Delbert's collection. As for the recipe itself, I came up with my own. I'm no stranger to cooking or baking, so here it goes. All the ingredients you need: 1 stick of butter, about 100 grams of sugar, 300 grams of all-purpose flour, and then flavorings: 1 tablespoon of matcha powder, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and 1 teaspoon of salt and nutmeg. Note that if you like your cookies really sweet, you might want to add a little bit more. Personally, I don't like it very sweet, so 100 grams is more than enough for my taste. The same applies to the matcha. If you love the taste of green tea, then be generous with a tablespoon. If not, maybe reduce the amount and add a bit of green food coloring instead. I know the green tea taste is not exactly for everyone, but hey, the natural green color you get from it is amazing and totally fitting for mud cookies. Alright then, let's get to work, shall we? Grab all the necessary ingredients to have them at hand and let's rock. I highly recommend using a hand mixer or a dough machine for the best mixing results. Now start by adding the butter stick. This is an European one with 250 grams. I know in the US the sizes differ a bit. Also make sure the butter is at room temperature or else beating it will be a challenge. Hard chunks will just fly around from your bowl and you don't want that. Rookie mistake if you never bake. Anyway, add the sugar in and start mixing both ingredients together until you get a creamy mix. I mean buttercream in the literal sense. That's buttercream. The mixing time here depends on your tools, so let's keep going. Next, throw in all-purpose flour. You can either add it bit by bit, or if you feel brave, like I did, just throw everything in at once. It also works. It makes things a bit more difficult on your hand, but hey ho, the final result is not so much different. However, you should stop beating the dough midway to add the flavorings first, else you might end up overmixing everything. Add the matcha powder, salt, nutmeg, and vanilla extract as shown. And yes, you can add everything before mixing, that's no problemo. Now incorporate everything well until the dough starts to get a bit more dense and with this green uniform color. If you see huge white patches, then it means you should keep beating because the flour is not very well mixed yet. Once you're done, it's time to get your hands dirty, literally, or you can wear gloves. That's also an option. Now grab the sparse dough from the bowl and start turning it into a ball by rolling it with your hands. This part might take a while, but it's quite satisfying and fun to do, so do not despair just yet. Also, if you hate wasting food, you might want to grab a spatula and scoop the leftover dough from the bowl and then knead everything until you get a perfect green dough ball. Like this, I promise it's not toxic or irradiated. No, it's perfectly edible. Anyway, now it's time to choose. Do you want to use cookie shapes or do you want to shape it by hand? I did both ways, but the pad for each one is slightly different. For the shapes, it requires cooling first, so you can either refrigerate the dough as it is inside the bowl, don't forget to cover it though, or you can go ahead and stretch it slightly on top of a baking paper sheet. You don't have to go all the way in yet. I went for the second option, as you surely noticed by now. I first used my hands and then a rolling pin. This makes your life so much easier because once the dough is cool, it's a bit of a nightmare to stretch it. You know, stretching cold dough from a ball shape into a thin layer, it's really not that easy, even with my hot water rolling pin over here. Moving forward, let the dough rest in the fridge for about 1 hour to ensure it hardens and won't melt as you cut it.
1 hour later.
Then stretch the dough into about 1 finger height, and voila, it's time to use your favorite Halloween cut shapes. I went for different ones, a few basic cutouts like a ghost or a tombstone, as well as print ones, a Halloween skull, a pumpkin head, and a Nuka-Cola Fallout cut. A small note here, please do not overpress your print shapes or they will not come off the shape, as it happened to my first Nuka-Cola try. Oopsie. No big deal if it happens though, just press less next time, as I proceeded to do with all the other shapes. Let your imagination go wild and shape your mud cookies to your heart's content. You can make even more cookies from the spear dough later on, but that involves repeating the cooling process, so I'm not so sure you want to do that. It all depends on how much free time you have. You can also hand shape the dough. It's a very smart idea, and I'm going to cover that in a little bit. Don't forget to remove the excess dough before baking. Feel free to use a spoon or a knife for the edges. It helps a lot depending on the cut shapes you are using. Now set your oven to 107 degrees Celsius, then transfer the baking paper with the cookies into a baking tray. And it's time to let the magic happen. Bake the cookies for around 15 to 20 minutes, depending on how crunchy you enjoy your stuff. If you don't like to use cutouts here, if you want to go with your hands, that's also fine. Actually, it's perfect for the mud cookies. To start with, you don't have to cool the dough. You can simply grab small chunks of dough and mold it with both of your hands. Sadly, my footage corrupted and I'm not able to show you exactly how I shaped them because I don't have footage anymore, but it's very easy to do it. Just place a chunk of dough in one of your hands and clap it with the other. The result is, well, these irregular sort of mud shapes I thankfully got with my phone. It's so fitting that I did a full tray with them. Needless to say that the oven part is the exact same. Throw it in at 170 degrees Celsius for about 15 to 20 minutes. Well, after that, it's time to enjoy your delicious Halloween cookies, or time to impress your family and friends if they are Fallout fans, because honestly, it looks so much alike. Let's talk about the taste and looks in the outro. It's not every day that one eats mud cookies, but these definitely are worth the trouble, especially since they look so close to the original Delbert's mud cookies from Fallout 76. Don't believe me? Then check out this comparison. The left one is obviously the 76 preview of this food. It's like a copy-paste in real life, isn't it? Sure, you might argue that the baked version is quite different than the in-game preview. Just look at how slimy and raw it looks like. Yeah, definitely not baked, just saying. Either way, even after baked, the cookies remain pretty green and sandy, even inside, as you can see, just like mud cookies should be. So I think my recipe is pretty spot on if you wish to try. If you do, feel free to share some pictures with me. I would love to see them. And I'm sorry for the low quality here because that's all I have left for this part. Mobile footage, my camera's filming got half corrupted, a shame really. As for the taste of my mud cookies, they have an intense flavor of green tea as to be expected from the matcha powder, and they are quite buttery and crunchy as well. That's everything for this special video. Happy Halloween everyone, and don't forget I'm going live in YouTube on October 31 on costume, might I add. Now it's time to wrap things up. Let me show you some behind the scenes images in case you are interested. Alright, I am Marta Branco. Feel free to leave a like, comment below, and all of that to help the channel. A huge shout out to all my members and patrons. And that's it really. I will see you all very soon in the next one. Until then, take care, adios, bye bye.